One child to have a child, an unprepared child. And that child is going to live like that. I have a quote that I have here on the screen that says, you are one decision away from a different life. You are one decision away from a different life. So as we are going to walk in the month of December, what is the decisions that you are going to do? What is the decisions that you are going to make? Are you going to do the familiarity of December and do December the way you always do it? Or are you going to be different? So that 77 generation will be affected in a different way. 77 generations will be affected in a godly way. The promise of Christmas in Revelation chapter 3 verse 15 depended on one person to say yes. It depended on one person to say, yes, I will partner with God to bring redemption of humanity and restoration of our position to God. It needed one person to stand in the gap. So whatever decision that you're going to make in the month of December, you must always know, I am going to stand in the gap. In Ezekiel chapter 22, the Lord was saying, I'm looking at the land of South Africa, and I'm seeing that the land of South Africa is in sin, and I'm looking for one person to stand in the gap. And sadly, in verse 31, the Lord said, I couldn't find any person. And because I couldn't find any person, the land became under judgment. I couldn't find somebody who could stand in the gap so that the next generation will not die from suicide and drug use. I couldn't find one person to stand in the gap so that our children will not drink, so that our children will not be teenage parents. I couldn't find one person. I was looking for somebody to stand in the gap. And we know that the reason that we are celebrating this month is because our Lord Jesus stood in the gap for us. That is why we are celebrating Christmas. Because He came from heaven to be born. He came to stand in the gap. I've got a picture there that shows another picture. That Jesus came to stand in the gap. We were going down. And Jesus, between God and man, He came to stand in the gap. Philippians chapter 2 verse 6 says, He was like God in every way, but He did not think that His being equal with God was something to use for His own benefit. Instead, He stood in the gap. He gave up everything, even His place with God. He accepted the role of a servant, and He appeared in human form. He humbled Himself. He became fully obedient to God, even when that cost His death. Don't get dead on the cross. And the Lord used the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ to show us how we can stand in the gap in the month of December. How we can stand in the gap. It did not only end with Jesus. Our Lord Jesus came to show us how we can do it. 1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 23. The prophet Samuel was finishing his term as a prophet, and King Saul was coming in, and King Saul was coming to take over. And this is what Prophet Samuel said. He said, I am not going to sin before God and stop to stand in the gap for you. Number one, I am going to pray for you. That's how we stand in the gap. I am going to pray for you. When we were doing the book of Revelation, one of the things that we were very sure about is that our prayers today can affect 1,000 generations to come. Our prayers today can affect 1,000 generations. Those 77 generations can be affected when we stand in the gap through prayer. We have to pray. We have to pray. We cannot be believers that don't pray. And Prophet Samuel says, I am retiring, but I'm not going on holiday church. Because the Church of South Africa goes on holiday, right?